After putting a balm on our wounds of the 23 finals, will Rohit and company bury the ghosts of the 22 Adelaide semi-finals, or will Butler and company show us why they're the defending champions? Or the worst, will rain play spoil sport? To talk about this and much more today at Cricbuzz Live, I'm just going to be a referee because the boxing gloves are there and I've got Michael and I've got Zach in the studio. In the morning, we left the studio with a little bit of sparks there. So I'm waiting for you all to reignite the fire in spite of the rain in Mumbai, in Guyana, everywhere. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening. Looking forward to this.
I'm really excited because I dug out an old photograph of ours, Michael, where we were both boxing. We were all set. So I'm really looking forward to it, Zach. But it's just so unfortunate if this rain troubles us all evening long. The toss has been delayed, so we just hope that the rain clears out soon.
Yeah, that's what everyone is hoping for because it's a big game, isn't it? Semi-finals, you don't want it to be washed out. There's already been enough criticism about, the logistics of this tournament, the pitch conditions. You don't want this to be added to that because there's hardly any time and a turnaround between the semi-finals and finals. For this, there's no reserve day, if I'm correct on that. Also, different games had different kind of conditions, whether you have a reserve day. The earlier game had a reserve day. This one doesn't have a reserve day, but a longish wait. So we don't mind waiting as long as it's a full 20-over game. I think that's what both the teams will be hoping for.
Michael, if I'm correct, we need to have a minimum of 10 overs for the semi-final, and we have 250 minutes extra is what we have today. Yeah. But hoping that it all clears out, our weatherman DK has been sending us updates, but the updates have been on and off, covers on, covers off, covers on, covers off. So we have to wait for DK to give us updates, but we have 250 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's only cricket that can confuse itself. One semi-final has a reserve day. The next semi-final doesn't have one. 250 minutes, apparently. Why it's not just 4 hours? 4 hours, 10 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, cricket is a remarkable sport that comes up with so many nuances. But I just hope for the players' sake that they get a good game of cricket, not a 10-over game. You don't get to a World Cup semi-final and it's judged on 10 overs of cricket each side. I just hope they get enough time. I mean, it looks like the showers forecast in Guyana. I mean, I've been to Ghana once and we didn't play a test match. I think the whole game was completely washed out.
The game, I feel, will benefit England.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and you know what you want in a semi-final is the conditions to be pure, and I'm pretty sure both captains will probably want to bowl first because of the rain. You're not too sure how many overs you're going to get to chase, etc., etc. So it's a great shame, but it's just about the players switching on. I mean, you could be sat in your dressing room, and then all of a sudden, half an hour later, you're starting a World Cup semi-final. And I guess it'll come down, whether you're batting or bowling, it'll come down to which set of players and which coaching staffs can get their players completely switched on. Because in a shortened game, you have 2 bad overs, and that could lose you the game.
Yes.
And that's what we might get down to, a shortened game, and just very small margins could be the difference. So the players, it's tough, but they're going to have to switch on.
Zach, we've had a very early morning today, but I've had a sleepless day because I've been so nervous about today's game. I'm going to keep the neutral host aside for some time and talk
See,
like
you've
the
got
fan.
the Indian colours on as well.
I've tried to be subtle
No,
about it,
I don't miss any tricks.
See, you got to time it well. You can't switch on too early as well.
Yeah,
and that's something which, as a management, and that's what Michael was also trying to say, that as a support staff, both the teams of how individuals are looking at it, how they're managing time, how they're going to stay relaxed and patient. Because, look, when the conditions are like this, they might be debating about the combination. The 3-spin option might not be the right one to go ahead with. Now comes, if Indian team is going to make that change or not, we'll have to wait and see. Whether Siraj comes in for this game is something which they will be debating right now because if the rain is around, wet outfield, the seam getting wet might not aid spinners that much. So are they going to debate like that? Is that going to set the panic? Because you will be divided in that. And it's such a tough
And also, Zach, I mean, this is the first game in Guyana, so there's no intel on the pitch. Kieran Pollard's with the England side, and I'm sure he'll be trying to give as much information to the team as possible. But, it's a new 22 yards. No one's played in it for a while. So, Yeah, team selection, decisions at the toss, certain shots, can you play on this kind of venue? I think all the other venues, I think the teams kind of knew the way to play on the certain wickets, whereas when it's a fresh deck, fresh ground, there's always a little bit of the unknown of what's going to happen on it.
Zach, I have to get the elephant out of the room and talk about it because it's just weighing too heavily on my shoulders. As Indian fans, we know that the track record in the last 10 years hasn't been great at all. We've been knocked out in 9 ICC knockouts. And what I don't understand, Zach, is 3 of these, we have been so invincible through the campaign. Then we go to the knockouts and then something happens. So what is it about these knockouts that we're not being able to convert?
Well, the good part is you've been consistent. If you look at that list, it's only semis, finals, and it's pretty much every year. So that is the positive. At times, it can become a block. When you get to the big stage, you're not able to take that last step in the most correct fashion. Things not going your way. But this team is looking ready to be able to absorb pressure, to be able to adapt. They've shown those kind of signs. Also, you look at the group of players, not just the squad which is there, but you look at maybe 20-25 players which is around in the Indian circuit. All those processes are being set very nicely. And the other day also when I was sitting here with Gilly, I was saying the same thing, isn't it? The next target, it's a good target to have for the Indian team, that they've achieved pretty much everything. Undoubtedly the best team going around in the world at this stage. Now you need trophies. Because Australia is sitting pretty with the number, which is such a staggering number in terms of the trophy wins. So it's a good challenge to have, and I think this team has already started setting those kind of goals. It's just about this one step going right. You know that ICC tournaments now, pretty much every year there will be one opportunity for you to grab that trophy, and this list is suggesting that these have been the building blocks. Now it's about going and taking that next step.
Well, Michael, for England, they won their maiden T20 World Cup back in 2010 here at the West Indies. 14 years later, they come back here. Do you see a lot of similarities between those two campaigns, a washout, then a loss, and then reaching the semi-finals?
14 years ago is a long. I see a similar kind of situation to when they won it 2 years ago in Australia, because they didn't have a great start over there. They lost to Ireland, scratched through the kind of group stages, got a bit of a scratchy win against Sri Lanka in Sydney, and then suddenly came up against India in a semi-final in Adelaide and just blew them away with real aggression. But I think this Indian side are different. I do think they play a different style of T20 cricket, and I'm really keen to see India today to see if they're going to continue to play this expansive game. You have to, when you've been pretty much told by your captain that's the style of cricket that we want to play. They've got to carry on with that. I mean, that list of India making finals, semi-finals over the last 10 years, it just shows you these trophies are hard to win. It's not easy to win a World Cup. You have to do so much right. You need a little bit of fortune. You need a little bit of the rub of the green every now and again. And they're up against some quality teams, and you have to say that they've obviously got England in the way, and then South Africa on Saturday. To win 2 games against England first and foremost, and then South Africa on Saturday, it's not easy. It's not easy under the pressure. But I will say this Indian side, as Zach said, they do look ready. They got close in November, and I thought they were ready then. They played an outstanding World Cup, and then Australia just got them on that given day, and that's white ball cricket for you. England could get them today. England could play, and I think England will need to play a pure game. I really think India are that good and they're playing so well that England will have to bring their best performance so far in this World Cup. They played well against the West Indies, but this India side are different, and I just think England will have to bring that A game to beat them today.
Zach, do you think, the Master's spoken about it? He said that when it's a big high-pressure game, you have to talk about it like it's any other day and play it like any other game. And you think this is something that the Indian team needs to follow, that yes, the pressure's on, but just look at it as any other day?
Yeah, follow the processes, tick all the boxes in terms of preparation, in terms of tactics, in terms of doing your homework the best you can. That's what sports teaches you, isn't it? You can do everything possible, but everything has to come together on that day, in that moment, for you to be able to take that step, win, and then go to the next one. The big one is going to be the final, of course. But that's the nature of these tournaments. You have to do everything when it matters the most. And for that, are you ready or not? Are you going to be absorbing pressure? Are you going to stay in the present? Because these are the challenges of these matches. So how to go about it? It's also dependent on the dressing room atmosphere. What are the things which are spoken in that? What are the kind of communication, the conversations which is happening around the group? And so far, all those things have been very positive. You've been talking about that. You've been saying that that small little things which they've been doing, like the squad being selected with a certain thought process. But when they went to New York, they knew that there's an extra need of a pacer. So they took that decision. So the best you can do is whatever is in your control, however you are seeing it, you're just backing your instinct and taking that decision. Whether it comes off, it doesn't come off, that's secondary. But you got to have that conviction, and that's what is going to matter today as well.
Michael, for England, back in 2010, it was quite a standalone win. But now in 2024, they've been super consistent. 4 semi-finals they've reached. What is it about it? What is the consistency and how have they achieved this?
Well, I think in T20 cricket, we've always been very, very competitive. It goes back to us obviously being the champions in 2010. You go to that final in Calcutta where Carlos Brathwaite hit those 4 sixes off Ben Stokes. England pretty much had that game in their hands. I thought the win in Australia was a special one because, as I said, they didn't play great cricket. They just managed to win the key moments, and they had a bit of fortune in the final. Shaheen Shah Afridi got injured. I think if he had stayed fit, Pakistan probably would have won that World Cup in Melbourne. Ben Stokes in 2019. Ben Stokes again in 22 in Australia. They don't have Ben Stokes now, but what England have managed to do over the course of the few years, I know the World Cup here didn't go great for them, but they've managed to kind of have a conveyor belt of white ball specialist players. Phil Salt's come through the ranks. Will Jacks probably won't play today, but he's a quality white ball cricketer. Sam Curran obviously is coming through. Reece Topley's been added and produced some real consistency. Having Jofra Archer back is absolutely massive for this side. And then they've added Harry Brook as a specialist batter in the middle. So I do look at England's white ball team and think there's quite a number of younger English players that are playing this way. I have more concerned about the Test team going forward. No Jimmy Anderson, no Stuart Broad. How's that Test team? Because I don't see that many specialist Test players. And they're playing this expansive game in Test cricket, which is good fun, but I think a bowler of the quality of Zach wouldn't mind bowling to the way that England play in Test cricket, because you're going to get your chances. Whereas I do think we've created a system in the UK where a lot of the younger players that are coming through, they look completely geared to this format. So I do think England are going to be very competitive. Obviously, they're competitive now, but I do think they're going to continue to be competitive in the future because that conveyor belt has been set. It's all about role models. It's all about the system. It's all about the messaging in and around your kind of competitions at home. And I thought Owen Morgan, Trevor Bayliss back in 2015-16, when they completely changed the mindset of England's white ball team, that's kind of carried on. So I do think England are indecent. And even if they lose today and they go out, they haven't had a great World Cup in terms of consistency, but I still feel England's white ball team. I don't worry about the white ball team, as I have a few sleepless nights every now and again about the Test team.
Well, from England's consistency, let's go to India's Mr. Consistent. We're going to talk about Jasprit Bumrah on our Naukri career score. Naukri.com, India's #1 job portal, knows all about growing careers, and they've used that expertise and come up with an interesting way of looking at cricket careers. Zach, we'll have a look at that list, but it's just such a proud moment to see Jasprit Bumrah up there at #1 in the top bowlers in this World Cup. No surprise there for what he's done for India. It's phenomenal, his consistency, but I just want to understand that, there's so much data, there's so much studying, so batters know what Jasprit Bumrah's probably going to do, but they can't seem to find out the mystery. Amro spoke also about it, and he said that he hits the deck really hard, so the batters kind of can't judge his pace and what the pace is going to come at. What do you think it is?
Well, he's got everything. I mean, when you're talking about Jasprit Bumrah, even if you don't get into dissecting the numbers, you know that he's going to be right up there with every aspect. You know, he's got that awkward action as an advantage for him. He's got a really good slow one. He's got a great Yorker. He hits the deck hard. He bowls a really sharp bouncer. You name it, he's got everything in his armory. Very consistent, very thorough with his approach. So a complete bowler, I would say. And I love the way he approaches the game. You know, he wants to not leave any stone unturned when he's looking at approaching any format. You know, so that makes him very, very good. And these numbers are just a reflection of whatever he's been doing.
You know, Zach, you said we don't need to break those numbers down because we see what Bumrah does. But when we do break those numbers down, we see how he is such a crucial factor when it comes to the situational performance. Michael, he's number one there. We saw it against Pakistan the other night. They were running away with the game and then he gets that key wicket of Rizwan and gets the game for India. So we know Bumrah, when it's the big moment, the big man steps up.
Yeah, that was against Pakistan, against Australia. Travis Head got him in the power play, and then guess what? Later on, he came onto ball and he gets Travis Head out with a beautiful slow ball, completely bamboozled him, and that's why he's so good. You know, particularly in T20 cricket. I mean, he's a fantastic bowler in 50 overs in the Test arena, but in 20-over cricket, I think he sees every over as almost like a show. And depending on the state of the game, he'll put on a show, and he might get got in the power play because, you know, I think in the power play, all batters feel that they can get anyone. If it's their day, they can get him. But later down the back end, there's not many players that get Jasprit Bumrah because he's just got that amazing ability to bowl Yorkers. He can bowl a slow ball, I reckon, at the last minute. I think he can see the batter and he runs in and he's got that kind of bit different in terms of an action. He gets closer to the batter with his arm. But I think he can watch the batter and then he just bowls this magnificent slow ball.
Yes.
And he does it consistently. And he'll see a batter, if a batter gives a little bit of space, he'll bowl a wide slow ball. And you see so many batters in the world game that just go to hit and it just goes straight in the air because he just bamboozled them with those tremendous slow balls. I've said it for many, many years. He's the best bowler in the world. You know, there's no one better than Jasprit Bumrah. You know, if you sat around a room and you said, come on, let's pick a test team, a 50-over team and a T20 team. Let's start with the bowlers. I don't think you're doing your jobs correctly if you don't start with Jasprit Bumrah. I think he's that good.
Well, we don't know what else Jasprit Bumrah can do for Indian fans, but we can just keep our fingers crossed and hope that he stays up there in the Naukri career score, because when Bumrah does well, India does well. Well, just a little update that the covers are coming off, so that is very good news. We'll hope that the captains come out very soon as well, and we'll have to just have a look at the playing conditions right now.
It's that 10-over game starting at 1:44 a.m. that's making me laugh.
So 10 overs at 1:44 a.m., Michael, which means we will be here till 5 a.m.
What's that? 5 hours away.
Well, you look at the last one also. You know, in the morning I was thinking that South Africa had it too easy.
Yes.
You know, playing against Afghanistan, playing the match in that fashion. It can't get easier than that. But if that last option comes into play,
yes, it gets
then
easier.
we'll be sitting talking that, India had it easier than South Africa.
Well, and I'm guessing South Africa would have got a plane to Barbados by now.
Oh, because there are a lot of delayed flights. I'm sure they want to catch the earliest one out.
They'd have been on that early flight from Trinidad straight to Barbados. They'll be probably on the beach, on the jet skis, just chilling out, hopefully watching India-England just go all day, and then they have to play a 10-over game right at the last minute. Probably won't be able to get the plane today to get to Barbados. So, yeah, it's not easy for the two teams in Guyana, but South Africa will be absolutely delighted.
Well, you know, I was talking about the captains coming out. We've got Zach, a really freaky stat that our stat team has pulled out. You know, when we talk about marriage horoscopes, how we say that 36 traits need to match. When we talk about Rohit and Butler and we see the stat, they look like
ridiculous.
They are a match made in heaven, because every single thing to the T matches each other.
I saw that on our email earlier. I was laughing, and that can't be right. I had to put it on social media. I just said, just look at this. I mean, that is remarkable.
Yeah, this is quite incredible. It's actually pretty freaky that they're every point is exactly the same. But I think the only difference...
We hope it changes today.
We hope it changes, but I think the only difference probably is that Rohit is way funnier in press conferences. I think that's
I didn't see that stat on that list. Are you going to add that stat, are you?
Oh,
funny rating.
Yeah, fun factor.
Fun factor. Okay.
But, Michael, Zach, talking about how both of them have come into great form at the correct time. We saw Rohit get that 92. We saw Butler get that 83. Which one was more imperative, you feel, Zach, for which one to come into form?
Well, I think they're both at par and equally important because, maybe for England it was much more needed because they've had that kind of a World Cup, isn't it? Butler's form also have been scratchy. But as a team, they're not winning every game. With Indian team, they've been winning every game. The last game which they were playing against Australia, the game was important, but it was not that important, isn't it? The qualification was pretty much certain at that stage. So looking at that, I think maybe the World Cup revenge was something which was on Rohit Sharma's mind. That really got the whole team fired up, maybe, for that game against Australia. But both these innings are at par. Both the numbers are at par. Both these players have got tremendous admiration for each other. They've been part of the same franchise also for a while and know each other very well. They both are very, very good strikers of cricket ball. When they bat, it doesn't matter, whether they are in your team, they are not in your team. You just sit and admire that, just the sheer ability and the shot making is special.
And Michael, as captains, they both also have a lot of similarities because they both like that depth in the batting. They both change horses for courses. They are somebody who look very similar when it comes to captaincy as well. But who do you think has probably been edgier than the other, if I can say?
I don't think either has really the edge over the other one. I just think in a semi-final you could possibly say whoever has the better day today will help their team win the game. They're that important for the sides. I mean, Rohit's innings against Australia, if he comes out and plays in the same way against it, I think he wins India the game. And if Jos Buttler plays, it was the United States, so their attacks, it's not a great attack. So I think Jos Buttler would have wanted to try and find that form because he'd been struggling. But Jos Buttler on his day, he can win a game of cricket on his own. But very similar captains. They're both pretty cool, pretty calm. Both captains have got great options, got all the variations you require in T20 cricket. I would say there's more pressure on Rohit. Rohit lost the final a few months ago. But there has been quite a lot of pressure on Jos because obviously England's defence of their 50-over campaign in India was a poor one and the side knew that. So they've come into this T20 World Cup with quite a lot of pressure, England. And I guess making it to the semi-finals, it's what we all expected.
Yes.
An England fan at home watching our white ball team, we would expect England to get to this stage. It's now, can they get those two performances to go on and win it? Can they win it back to back? No team's ever done that. So there's a lot of pressure in terms of delivering something that's never been done before, but they've certainly got the skill sets, and it's generally started by the captain in Jos Buttler. So looking forward to see how he can kind of perform on a given day where we're not quite sure what the conditions are going to be. But I'll say whoever has the better day as the captain, I would think their teams are going to win the game.
Michael, Zach said that Butler coming into form was a little more important for England because with India, they have gone unbeaten. But Butler did come into form against USA. Who do you think it was more imperative for?
I think they're both so important for the team. It's impossible to say who's more important. I just think both sides have got so much danger. The Indian side have got Shivan Dube, Sky, Hardik Pandya. That's their 4, 5 and 6. Rishabh at number 3, that's work. Again, all these players can strike it. You look at England, they've got Phil Salt, who's been destructive. Harry Brook, Liam Livingstone, Moeen Ali's kind of been floating around. So you're kind of looking at both teams. They've all got power.
Yes.
Both teams have got a huge amount of power. India have played better cricket throughout the World Cup, so you would say that if one captain had to have a better game than the other captain, I'd say that it's probably more important that Jos Buttler did.
Well, Zach, Michael, I hate to break it to you all, but it's raining again. The covers are out there again.
It'll be 1:44
We're
AM,
prepared. It's
isn't
going
it?
to be that kind of
Yeah,
a night.
it's going to be that kind of a night,
Yeah.
but it's a semi-final. You don't want it to be that kind of a night, but I think DK is out there with Atherton. They're under an umbrella, so we'll wait, and Morgan's there as well. We'll wait for DK to give us those updates on our group, but it's just really going to be heartbreaking if we see this rain constantly come and trouble today's game. But we have a lot of questions coming in. I'd asked you all to write in and ask your questions this morning. We have been flooded by questions. We don't want any floods in the stadium, but we like the floods when the questions keep coming in. Let's have a look at the RCB. Shejuti Saha asks us, is there a particular reason Cricbuzz panelists have spotted behind Kohli's slump in form after that terrific IPL season?
I mean, the wickets in New York weren't great.
These are the conditions.
Yes.
Yeah, the pitches haven't been great. No, I haven't seen much. I mean, he's moving exactly as he was in the IPL. I mean, it's T20 cricket, you know, and they're playing an expansive game, and Rohit's, you know, calling on all the players to be really expansive. With that, it's risk. You know, and I do think this format is, when it's going really well for you as a batter, I think you get that little rub of the green and you suddenly start to fly and you believe every ball can go for 4. I think when you have 1 or 2 games where it doesn't go your way, you probably think, oh, every time I hit it in the air, someone sticks a hand out and it's caught, and you get a little bit of the rub of the green going the other way. I just think it's T20 cricket. I think you can overanalyse it. As long as Virat's going out with the right intentions for the team, which he absolutely is, I'm pretty sure if he has 2 innings in him in the next few days, I would say I'll probably at least get a number in at least one of them.
Zach, that's all we need, don't we? We want him to step up on the big day because, like Michael's saying, he's going out with the correct intent. He's being very aggressive, and that probably is the role that has been assigned to him.
Well, I mean, with big players, it's about on their day they maximize that day to full potential. We've seen that with Rohit. You know, when he gets going, it's just a force that you can't really control or the stop. That's the same with Virat. It's going to be the intention which matters, the intent which he shows, which right throughout the tournament, as a group, as a batting group, Indian team have been consciously making that effort of setting that tone with the new ball. And Rohit also have been very vocal about it. So it's not about just the 50s and the 100s they're talking about. They're talking about putting bowlers under pressure. And when it's going to come off for Virat also. 2 games to go.
Yes.
It just takes 1 innings, for you to get your eye in or get that flow going, and you're going to have that day.
Well, from one question to the other, I'm sure that this question was a little easier for you all to answer because you all have now answered the joy factor question of the day. We'll have a look at Joyita's question. 2 cricketers who made their test debuts against a team captained by Michael Vaughan played over 200 tests between them. Name both. Come on, Michael.
Can you put that question back?
2
up, please?
cricketers.
2 cricketers that made their test debuts against a team captained by
Against a team captained by Michael Vaughan, so it need not be the England team, is what, if I know Joyita correctly.
Who made the test against my team, and played over 202 cricketers.
Come on, Michael. This is... It's your name's in the question.
I know, I can read that. I mean, still doesn't mean I can answer it.
I think I've lost in the question itself.
I think you...
Can't-
But there's 2 cricketers played, so one cricketer might have played 150 and the other one 50.
No, I think both played 200 plus. I don't think it's that tricky.
200 plus tests?
Yes.
Between
All right, Michael,
Between them,
we have all night today. As you can see, with the rain coming on and off, we have all night. So we will wait, and you're really racking your brains
Dale
there.
Steyn, maybe? Is that one?
Okay, I've been asked to recorrect that. I think they're combined 200 tests.
All right, combined. So 2 players made debut against a team that I captained, and combined together they've played 200 tests on the dot. Is that right? We don't even know the question.
Exactly.
Well, that's what Joy Bhattacharya does. He just bowls those googlies and expects us to answer them. I think we need to go and call Joyda up and get an understanding of what this question is. So I think we'll be doing that. I think it's going to be a lot of rain on and off. So we will give you all updates as and when we have them. Unfortunately, right now it is raining. But when we have some updates, we'll be back to give you all that update. So do follow the Cricbuzz app for all the updates, and we will see you all very soon.